Hello and welcome to week 3. I'm going to briefly go through some information in relation to 5 strategies for writing and chapter 1, and then there will be a second video to cover the assignment sheet. So just as a quick overview, if you go down to week 3 and you look at the overview, you'll see you can re-watch the rhetorical situation or watch it for the first time if you haven't watched it yet. You'll watch the 5 steps to successful writing and writing process, which is this video, and then there will be one more that's on the audience analysis. The big note is the syllabus still listed 3 assignments as a part of the audience analysis. There are only 2 parts of that particular assignment, and that'll be covered again in the second video. So if we return to week 3, what I've created is an infographic to go through the major parts of business writing and the business writing process, which the 5 strategies chapter as well as chapter 1 cover in detail. We specifically this week are going to focus on the audience aspect of the writing process, and then we'll return to chapter 1 specifically over and over and over again with all of the remainder of our assignments throughout the duration of this semester so that everything's covered in great detail. So this is an introduction to business writing. 5 steps to successful writing. These are steps, they're very, very broad, and they can influence your writing process in different ways. What you need to determine at this point in your academic career, as well as moving forward into your work career, is what writing works for you and how do you understand your process? Because your process might be differently, and you need to get a firm grasp on it now with these early assignments so that when you start working with a group, you work together effectively. I do not want you guys to hate group work, so figure out your process now so that you can then contribute in your most positive way when you get to the group assignment later. So step number 1, preparation. You need to understand purpose, audience, scope, context, medium. This is the focus of this week, so we're going to return to those particular ideas. Step number 2 is research. Moving forward after this week, different types of papers and different types of assignments will require different kinds of research. Again, the librarians have created a fantastic LibGuide shelf for us to help narrow down which databases you need to focus on, and then you'll also want to consider what is it that you know, how do you know those things, and what resources are going to be the strongest to support the point that you're trying to make in the document that you're trying to make it for, coming back to purpose and context. The next piece of information is organization. So how do you structure your ideas? How do you structure your ideas in the medium you've chosen? How do you choose a medium that's appropriate for your message, your audience, that context, that purpose? And then how do you outline your information to meet all of those particular needs? So the big hint I have for the organization step that you really need to start to figure out on your own is how do you revisit your organization? So if you create some sort of an outline, even if it's not the strict guideline outline, if you create some sort of an outline and then you write the document, can you reverse outline and come back to the organization step to double check that you have no tangential comments or no tangential paragraphs or no tangential points in the document that you've created? So this is not a go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and you're done. Consider step 3 as a revisit as a part of your new revising strategy. So can you approach revising differently so that you double check the organization to get the flow and the coherency of your document in line with what you're expecting? Step 4 is to write it. There is no such thing as a perfect draft, just get it all out on the paper. Step 5 is to revise it, and this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time. So you're going to spend most of it in preparation and most of it in revision. Once it's all written, now you can figure out what are the details, how are they working, how do I put all this information back together, how do I understand, how do I check to make sure there's flow and coherence? And this is where I said, go back and check to make sure that you've met all of the requirements for organization that you need to. And once you've determined how your organization is, now you can revisit writing. Do you need to rewrite certain sections again? Do you need to write them over? Do you need to take something out? Do you need to check grammar in certain sections for certain things? And then come back to revision and start all over again. So it becomes a process, a circular process with steps repeating themselves until you're very happy with the document and it's actually submitted. As the book stated, if you have time, and you can see it down here, have somebody else read it before you submit it. In this class, we do have peer review, so we're going to focus on that particular step, but it's a work relationship that you want to build with your colleagues once you actually get a job. Who can you go to and ask them to read and revise and ask them to provide meaningful feedback on what it is you're trying to say and the way that you're trying to say it? How do you develop those relationships so that you have colleagues that can read for you? If you have any questions about the 5 strategies or about chapter 1, feel free to send me an email or you can always tweet me. Each of these steps is very complicated, and you need to figure out how the steps are going to work for you. There is no right way and there's no wrong way to do writing process at this point. You need to find a way to get writing done on time so that you can do that in the workforce. If you have any questions, send me a tweet. I'll see you guys online.